as you were talking about Picnic at Hanging Rock, I was actually having a memory about my own father, who was a teacher at my school and was like running a class where he like had a whole discussion about Picnic at Hanging Rock, but I had not been allowed to watch it. Oh. So I was like, come on, Dad, what is this? But you know, those films indeed, for me, they came through television and through video recordings, and yeah, I'm interested in any sort of nostalgic crush you might have on early video experience.
Oh, my entire film education was on VHS.
Yeah.
I was more of a sports nerd as a teenager, but in my early 20s, all of a sudden, my interest in cinema started at the same time that VHS came out, and so really low-res stuff, but I didn't even know it was low resolution. I'd never seen any movies on the big vintage movies on the big screen, and I started by watching older films. And then I'd go to even worse resolution through this place called Facets Video in Chicago, which would have every title. They were kind of pirating them, I think, but they would be 10th generation VHS copies, and there was barely an image there. But I'd be so excited, and you'd have to pay at least 5 times as much. And I don't know, it's just really special. And then the idea of sifting through banks of video snow to see a movie just made a movie more special. I don't want to just sound like an old fart reminiscing. But I mean, VHS is so great. And then when DVDs came, you could sort of just quit watching your VHS tapes. But there were some I refused to throw out. And now, thank God, there are people working in it, you know, working with VHS cameras and making things. And we were just talking about Matthias Muller's Home Stories, which is a celebration of melodramatic women from Douglas Sirk films and Hitchcock films.
Waking up.
Yeah, and just waking up and looking out the window and getting scared, and then running back to their bedrooms. And,
that's what women do, yeah.
I learned it all from Matthias Muller. And it's a celebration of VHS too, because anything that's red just bleeds, like just hemorrhaging vases of flowers and things like that. And so it's just this beautiful celebration of disasters of women, and thank you, and VHS bleeding.
And how about you, Cate?
I loved the ritual of putting it into the slot. Said the actress to the vision. But there was something about knowing that it was a slightly delicate object that I really, the sound of it, it was a visceral experience putting it in, and I loved that. But I loved how it would degrade. I remember watching Nikita Nikhalkov's unfinished piece for player piano, or mechanical piano, and I was doing it at Chekhov at drama school, I think in Cherry Orchard or something, and so I put it on, and it was really fuzzy, so the mid shots, you could, the definition on the facial expressions was a bit blurred, but what you got was so what I was focusing on, it made me focus on different things. I was focusing on how he'd used the frame and how he blocked it, and it just made me watch it differently. But I also loved that I watched, Jane Fonda's Exercise. That was probably my most watched.
I have a really vivid memory of Shelley Winters in the back of a Debbie Reynolds aerobics video, with a t-shirt that said, "I'm doing it for Debbie." and Debbie doing, "It's good for the boobalubas, Shelley."
Hot cross buns. Yeah.
I'm going to go now to a clip, because
ever thought I could work in the film industry. I was resigned happily to having a career in the theatre. I didn't think I was that girl, and at the time that there certainly was a sense that women had a certain shelf life in the film industry, and a certain type of woman got to parade on screen, and others didn't so much. But I loved watching films, and I had such eclectic taste. I think it's the benefit of growing up with, like in Australia, with 4 terrestrial channels, and the test pattern that comes on 11 o'clock on the Australian Broadcasting Commission is that on a Saturday afternoon, you would flick through Basil Rathbone, a Sherlock Holmes, and a Western, and some kind of inventive piece of Australian children's television. So I watched a lot of horror growing up. Since I've had children, I can't watch horror at all, which is, I mean, I love my kids, but I'm a bit sad about that. But I do remember when I was at high school, I mean, back in the day when you used to have really exciting field trips with your teachers, our French teacher took us to see Visconti's L'Étranger, and yeah, that's a French excursion. Oh yeah, it was fun. And I don't think I've seen the film since, unless I've dreamt I have. But I was hypnotized by the cinematic storytelling, and so that's when it felt like quite an adult experience. She treated us like adults. She talked about cinema in a certain way. I think I've learned more about cinema than I did French, unfortunately, maybe, from that teacher. But also, probably similar to you, Claire, like we grew up with such incredible moment in Australian cinema making. And so I remember seeing Picnic at Hanging Rock, and Sweetie, and Angel at My Table. And I thought there was this wild, idiosyncratic theatricality to daring about Jane Campion's work that seemed, as a kind of a weird, lumpy clown that I was on stage, that I thought maybe I might be able to step into that frame. But yeah, it was probably somewhere in there.
Yeah. As a sort of extension of that, we've got a fantastic program here at IFFR called Hold Video in Your Hands, which has been prompted by 2 different films about the kind of history of VHS and VHS as a community builder, and the way that VHS has actually also had a sort of transformative effect on the way people think about film